Good afternoon, everyone. It is 3:11 here in Florida. I'm sorry about my air conditioner. I'll try to talk over you guys. It's very, very hot, and I just want to send blessings and love and peace to all of you. Okay. So, anyways, I just want to share with you some things that has just popped up in my notifications. That means it's like brand new. And also, what I'm going to start with is my husband. He's sitting next to me, and he has a game that he plays on his phone. It's like a combat game, and there is a guy on there. You know how they talk back and forth, okay? And he's a Russian, and he's in Russia. And he said to Andy, he says that he's getting ready to go into the army, back into the army. And Andy told me, and I said, ask him if he is being drafted. And he came back and he said that he had been called in. So that's the same thing, you guys. That's basically the same thing. They're calling in people to get back into the army or to get into the army. And I don't think this is for no reason. Okay, so anyways, I also want to share with you a couple of videos here that just popped up in my notifications. So here we go. Sorry about that, y'all.
TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donation. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Jerusalem's Counterterrorism Bureau warns Israelis of Iran's continued efforts to promote attacks against Israeli targets in the immediate future. China's state counselor and foreign minister Wang Yi concludes his six-nation tour of the Middle East. Egypt's Suez Canal has once again reopened for commercial shipping. Jerusalem's Counterterrorism Bureau warns Israelis of Iran's continued efforts to promote attacks against Israeli targets in the immediate future. In light of a sharp decrease in coronavirus morbidity and a high number of inoculated Israelis, a significant increase in outbound tourism is expected, especially during the summer vacation time period. Consequently, the Counterterrorism Bureau issued a travel advisory highlighting its main risk assessment for Israelis traveling overseas. The main countries with a high likelihood of hostile activity against Israelis include Georgia, Azerbaijan, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, Bahrain, the northern Iraqi Kurdistan region, Turkey, Jordan, and Egypt. The Bureau further cited that an Indian-led investigation into an explosion of an improvised explosive device adjacent to the Israeli embassy in New Delhi January 29th earlier this year, found that the RGC's Quds Force was responsible for executing the attack, which thankfully failed to claim any victims. Nevertheless, in light of Iran's repeated failures, it remains determined to follow through on its pledge to harm Israel for its alleged involvement in the successful assassination of Tehran's chief nuclear scientist, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh. In other news, China's state counselor...
Okay, you guys, that is that. And, we'll go to one more.
Now, I think we can all agree that the world has become a more dangerous place since Joe Biden was inaugurated U.S. president. But the question we have to ask now is, why? I mean, look at it. On Friday, Chinese forces committed their largest ever incursion into Taiwanese airspace, as worries grow by the day of a Chinese invasion of the Democratic Island Republic. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, Iran is on the march with its rebel militias now attacking Saudi oil fields and building up a stockpile of missiles that has Israeli planners increasingly nervous about a potentially devastating conflict happening sooner rather than later. And here in Australia, officials are now also worried that with the U.S. seemingly in retreat under Joe Biden, they need to dramatically up defense preparations to counter threats from the north, i.e. China. So, why are things getting so hot so fast? Surely the U.S. is still big enough and ugly enough to ward off anyone planning anything truly dangerous, right? Well, not not so fast, because the U.S. military, I am sorry to report, has fallen prey to invading armies of PC wokesters, human resources PowerPoint jockeys, and identity politics radicals. So instead of being on alert to fight foreign enemies, the U.S. military is now being used to ferret out domestic foes, i.e., anyone to the right of the Biden administration. It started with the militarization of the U.S. Capitol by the National Guard due to the supposed and now widely debunked threat of some further alt-right quote-unquote insurrection after Joe Biden's inauguration. It moved on to National Guard troops marching down the halls of Congress to criticize a Republican congresswoman after she made comments they didn't agree with. Then the Pentagon ordered a one-day stand-down of military forces across the globe to deal with the supposed problem of extremism in the ranks, though those who participated in the training say that while the sessions were supposedly all about going after the alt-right, anyone who talked about Antifa or Black Lives Matter and brought up the violence done in the names of those organizations was quickly shut down. The sessions instead, many who participated report, were really about ferreting out anyone guilty of wrongthink on the right. And here's the sinister bit, it also encouraged servicemen and women to report one another to higher-ups if they caught them saying or expressing the wrong things or ideas or opinions.
Wow.
I mean, really, how long is it until the U.S. military goes down the road of the old Soviet Union, where political officers were always on hand to check everyone's thinking and overrule commanders on the ground? But it's not...
Okay, you guys, I'm going to leave it right there. I will leave the links to these. But, wow. We're supposed to be here in America where we have freedom of speech. And that's, well, it's being taken away little, by lot. Your thoughts?